Hey, this is Friday, April 19th, regular kids. We're going to talk about chapter 6 and then get into chapter 7. Let's see, next week we have I Learn It officially begins. Outsiders, your checkpoint is page 130. End of chapter 8 coming up for Monday. Tie game was frogs for the 3 kids that guessed. Homework, this is officially assigned to you. It is due Wednesday. We'll out the quiz coming up on Monday. For those of you who are going to forget and stand next weekend. Your day of service sign-up is Monday at the end of the day. Bring your iPad with you to 7th period. Regardless of what class you have 7th period, bring your iPad. Because it'll be during 7th period on Monday. Not during best on Monday, because there is no best. So just make sure you bring it. Alright, to you guys. With our discussion thing real quick, I wanted to talk about chapter 6, then I wanted to read part of chapter 7 to you. The thing is, with chapter 6, I had some favorite parts in there I wanted to hit with you. The sunrise poem, just to hit it again, because it's going to be all important. What did the sunrise poem mean?
Everything dies.
Everything dies.
What's the meaning of life?
Close.
What is the meaning of happiness?
Everything you love is going to die one day.
Good, but what's the uplifting part?
Everything is going to enjoy it.
Enjoy it while you can.
There you
Enjoy
go.
Yeah.
So, everything is going to die, so enjoy it while you have it. So this is both depressing and uplifting, because that's going to play a big role coming up a little bit later. Because for those of you who have read ahead, characters die. We're getting to the part of the book where some of the main characters are going to die. Do not ruin it for other people, or they will not be the only main characters dying. Hint, hint. Did you just threaten us? I did. I'm not threatening you.
I'm going to sue you for a bag of crayons.
It's not. You cannot have my bag of crown. And then we got to the part where they're at the church. Who shows up while they're at the church? Dally. And then he kicks him and he's like, "Hey, wake up, boy." And he wakes up and then he goes and takes him from there. He grabs the woe and uses it to charge him points.
That wasn't me.
No. And from there he ends up taking them out to go eat. Where does he take them to go
Dairy
eat?
Queen.
Dairy Queen. That's where they gorge themselves. Ooh, before Dairy Queen we found out there's a spy. And who's the spy? And that's where we find out surprising for 3 parts. One, because she's a Soch, which is surprising.
She hates Dally.
No, she doesn't hate Dally.
She hates fights.
She does hate fights, but how does she feel about Dally?
She likes him.
And that's where we find out that apparently Cherry likes the bad boy. And Dally's definitely a bad boy. She's like, "Oh, them bad boys." But even more so, how is Cherry connected to Bob?
They're both so
Closer. They were dating each other.
dead.
So the fact is, it was her boyfriend who got shanked. So the fact that her boyfriend got shanked, and she's like, "Well, I'm still going to be a spy for you," because she feels guilty about the fact that her boyfriend was drinking and all that. Yes. She's spying for them. So she is going to be bringing Soch information to the greasers because she feels bad about the fact that her boyfriend got drunk and tried to kill a kid and stuff like that. And she's like, even though her boyfriend died. Ryan? Ryan, show it to me.
That makes sense.
I accept. Hey, there's an opening over there.
Wait, so if I get done, can I move out?
Yeah. Did you get done?
Yeah, I got done a long time ago.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael.
I accept. Oh, almost there.
looks
Now there's 2 openings.
Now don't walk in front of me. It's embarrassing. You have to walk around.
Why can't you walk in front of me?
Because then I'd have to burn you.
What?
Just take your seat right there. There you go.
Alright.
What a happy day. And we're
What'd you get?
back. See, we did get to torture kids. Happiness. And then we got to Dairy Queen. They gorged themselves. Ooh, at Dairy Queen, what is it? Johnny comes up with an idea that freaks out Dally.
Turn yourselves in.
Oh, I forgot about the heater. We did get to the heater. Who has the heater? Ooh, and this plays a big role later on. What do we know about the heater?
It's a gun.
Unloaded.
It's a gun. The fact that it's an unloaded heater, he's like, "I'm not going to get pulled up for murder." And then he's like, "Guns kill people." He's like, "Knives kill people." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And he puts his own knife away. And so the fact that Dally has the heater. Johnny says he's going to turn himself in because you get the whole scene. He's like, "Pony boy," he said, "you can't keep running." He's like, "You have family that actually loves you." And he's like, "My family doesn't love me, but whatever." He's like, "I can't run forever." So they decide to turn themselves in. They head back to the church. No. Oh yeah, Cherry's Corvette. Because apparently Sochas have money. There we go. And now they head back to the church. They're going to go grab their stuff to go turn themselves in. They get back to the church and they get there. There's a surprise.
Fire!
Now, not only is the church on fire, but there's other...
4 to 5 little kids in it.
There you go. And the fact that there's a... Now, one, they get back and the church is on fire. And here's where we're going to get to two of my favorite scenes in the entire book are in chapter 6. And you'll find out why in a moment. One, there's a field trip there. And being a teacher, I'm not sure which teacher had the great idea of, hey, for our field trip, let's bring a bunch of small children to an abandoned church and let them just play around. But apparently it was just like a little low-key thing. But then we're going to get to, hang on, I'm going to show you my favorite part in the book.
This is like the Watsons go to Birmingham.
Hang on. Where are you? Favorite part?
If the knife was in there and then it burned.
I mean, burn it with, no, he has it with him.
Not bloody hair.
What? Yeah, why would you do?
There we go. So I'm jumping to page 91. And this is when they got back to the church. When they find it is on fire, they have a guess as to why it's on fire. And so they're thinking it's either the fact maybe one of the little kids decided to start smoking, but where would they get their material to start smoking? From apparently Gavin's house. And they would probably got it from either
The trap base.
the Dally, or maybe Dally was smoking and threw it away, or Johnny or Ponyboy, so they feel like they're probably responsible for it. So 91, we meet the teacher. This teacher is my favorite teacher ever.
Mr. Brovia.
Not me. It's a different teacher. I am my second favorite
No, you.
teacher.
The teacher's better.
So he goes, all right, at the top
No,
of page
you.
91.
91.
I bet we started it, I said to Johnny. We must have dropped a lighted cigarette or something. About that time, a lady came running up. Jerry! This is the teacher they're talking to. Jerry, some of the kids are missing. Nah, they're probably around here somewhere. You can't tell with all this excitement where they might be. Time out. So, we're at a church. You have a field trip with a bunch of small children. A lady runs up going, hey, church is on fire. We're missing kids. Step in my favorite teacher, Jerry. How does Jerry respond to this?
They are.
Yeah. He's like, we got the important ones. It's okay. And I'm like, that's not what you do as a teacher. But the fact that he's just like, it's okay. We've got some of 1, 2. We've got some. It's okay. It gets better. No! She shook her head. They've been missing for at least a half an hour. I thought they were climbing the hill. Then we all froze. Faintly, just faintly, you could hear someone yelling. And it sounded like it was coming from inside the church. The woman went white. I told them not to play in the church. I told them. She looked like she was going to start screaming. So Jerry shook her. Another fun part too. So from there, Jerry doesn't care about kids. But then Ponyboy and Johnny realized the kids were trapped in there and that they probably started the fire or were connected to it in some way. So what do Ponyboy and Johnny do? Run into the church to go save them. Jerry, my next favorite part of Jerry, what does Jerry do?
Shakes the teeth.
He tries to get in, but he can't. And here's where my imagination kicks in. I don't know if you've seen the Disney cartoon with Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
And whenever Winnie the Pooh tries to get inside the tree and he jumps into it and his butt and legs get stuck out in the little wiggly thing, that's what I imagine with Jerry. He's like, I got you kids, like, and like stuck in there, his little feet are like taking out like that, and he's like, I can't get in. I don't think that's what happened, but when I read it, that was my imagination. I was like, Jerry, high five. But then they get in there and they start saving kids. Here's my second favorite part. When Ponyboy and Johnny save the children, what do they have to do to save them?
Throw them out a window. Jump out.
Please say that again.
Throw them out a window.
Do you know how many kids I would save if that's all I had to do is chuck them out of windows?
50.
I would be just nonstop saving children. So they go in there to save these kids that are burning, like, I'm going to save you. Whoop, out of a window. I'm saving them. Whoop, out of a window. And I'm like, oh, best book ever. And then one of the kids gets upset about being saved. And he, once again, this is where my imagination kicked in, where I imagined him trying to huck the kid out the window. No! And the kid bites him. And I imagine the kid biting him in the like, little fleshy part of the hand. And I'm like going, ah! And like the kid just like shaking on the end like an angry chihuahua. And then pulling him off and then throwing him. Again, probably not what happened, but in my mind, because it just made me smile after the whole Jerry scene and throwing kids out windows. But anyway, so then we get to the not as good part. Ponyboy gets out, but when Ponyboy gets out, he's on fire, as you will when leaving a burning church. Dally is nice enough to help him. How does Dally help him? You say slapped him, but it was more like a close, not like the slap fight our kid's been doing in the bathrooms and getting in trouble. But his slap fight is more like, you're on fire. Whoa! And just drops him. And he's like, because remember, when you're in kids, when you're on fire, what are you supposed to do?
Slap, drop, and roll.
Thank you, Luke. And apparently Ponyboy did not stop, so Dally stepped in and was like, stop! He dropped him. He was like, now just roll. And so helped him out. But then the problem is, Johnny is still inside,
The roof falls on him.
and the roof falls on him. And so with this, it becomes one of those good news, bad news, good news, bad news things, because he saves kids, but then the burning church roof falls on him, which is bad, but doesn't kill him, but does give him third-degree burns over his entire body.
Can't walk.
And he can't walk. But the good news is that he can't walk because he's paralyzed, and if you're paralyzed, you have no feeling in your body. So like, hey, we have bad news. You're burned over most of your body. And he's like, that's awful. Like, no, it's good news. You're also paralyzed, so you can't feel it. So like, oh. And so we find out Johnny, that is one of those good news, bad news, good news. And so then we get to the hospital, and that's where we meet up again with Derry and Soda Pop, and they show up, and we have like the little bro hug moment. We're like, oh, happy, bro tap, tap, tap. And Derry and Soda Pop and all happy.
Johnny's mom's
And that lady's crazy. But we'll get to crazy lady here coming up in a little bit. So now jumping to page 100. I'm going to pick up and I'm going to try to read a bit for you guys, give you guys less homework. Now they're in the hospital, and that's where they were found out when we got there. We did get to Jerry. I had to skip. I figured you guys hopefully got it. If you did not get to that point, they're in the hospital. Stuff happens. It'll be on the quiz. You'll fail. Don't worry about it.
What happened?
Chapter 7, page 100, where we start for today.
Wait.
Now there.
No.
Now, there were 3 of us sitting in the waiting room, waiting to hear how Dally and Johnny were. Then, the phone rang, and we had to answer it.
We only have like
Don't answer
7
it,
minutes.
please.
Hang on. I think I can pause this. Let's see what happens.
It'll be a long one. Probably doesn't look.
And the bottom.
Hey, it worked! Go me. All right. Then the reporters and the police came. They asked too many questions, way too fast, and got me all mixed up. If you want to know the truth, I wasn't feeling real good in the first place. Kind of sick, really. And I'm scared of policemen anyway. The reporters fired one question right after another at me, and got me so confused, I didn't know what was coming on. Derry finally told them I wasn't in any shape to be yelled at so much, and they slowed down a little. Derry's kind of big. Soda Pop kept them in stitches. He'd grab one guy's press hat and another's camera and then walk around interviewing the nurses and mimicking TV reporters. He tried to lift a policeman's gun and grinned so crazily when he was caught that the policeman had to grin too. Soda can make anyone grin. I managed to get hold of some hair grease and comb my hair back so it looked a little better before they got any pictures. I would die if I got my picture in the paper with my hair looking so lousy. Derry and Soda Pop were in the pictures too. Jerry Wood, that was the teacher that couldn't fit in the window, told me that if Soda Pop and Derry hadn't been so good looking, well, they wouldn't have taken so many. That was public appeal, he said. Soda was really getting a kick out of all of this. I guess he would have enjoyed it more if it hadn't been so serious, but he couldn't resist anything that caused that much excitement. I swear, sometimes he reminds me of a colt, like a long-legged Palomino colt that has to get his nose into everything. The reporters stared at him admiringly. I told you, he looks like a movie star. He kind of radiates. Finally, even Soda Pop got tired of the reporters. He gets bored of the same old thing after a time. And stretching out on the long bench, he put his head in Derry's lap and just went to sleep. I guess both of them were tired. It was late at night, and I knew they hadn't had much sleep during the week. Even while I was answering questions, I remember that it had only been a few hours since I was sleeping off a smoke in the corner of the church. Already it was an unreal dream, and yet, at the time, I couldn't have imagined any other world. Finally, the reporters started to leave along with the police. One of them turned and asked, "Hey, what would you do right now if you could do anything you wanted?" I looked at him tiredly. Take a bath? They thought that was pretty funny, but I meant it. I felt lousy. The hospital got real quiet after they left. The only noise was the nurse's soft footsteps and Soda's light breathing. Derry looked down at him and grinned half-heartedly. He didn't get much sleep this week, he said softly. He hardly slept at all. Soda said drowsily. You didn't either. The nurses wouldn't tell us anything about Johnny and Dally, so Derry got hold of the doctor. The doctor told us that he would talk only to the family. But Derry finally got it through the guy's head that we were about as much family as Dally and Johnny had. Dally'd be okay after 2 or 3 days in the hospital. One arm was badly burned and would be scarred for the rest of his life, and he'd have full use of it in a couple of weeks. Dally'd be okay, I thought. Dallas is always okay. He could take anything. It was Johnny I was worried about. He was in critical condition. His back had been broken when that piece of timber fell on him. He was in severe shock and suffering from third-degree burns. They were doing everything they could to ease the pain, although, since his back was broken, he couldn't even feel the burns below his waist. He kept calling for Dallas and Ponyboy, if he lived. If, please no, I thought, please not if. The blood was draining from my face, and Derry put an arm across my shoulder, squeezed hard. Even if he lived, he'd be crippled for the rest of his life. You wanted it straight, you got it straight, the doctor said. Now go home, get some rest. I'm going to pause there on page 1 and 2 with you guys. The thing coming up next, what is this going to happen between the Socias and Greasers?
Fight.
They have the big rumble. And this is the part we're getting to. For those of you who do read ahead, choose wisely. You are going to have knowledge, and I will be mean to you if you ruin the book for others. Hold on to that knowledge, because there's things coming, and not all the characters get a chance to make it through. For you guys, I'm going to stop here. The rest of you don't get this next part. Toodles.